At the very first bronze base camps that we offered here at ASEA, we sat in a room and asked ourselves, how do we continue to teach meaningful principles that could fill in this ASEA ethos? And for many years, I've been a big believer in a concept taught by a group called the Arbinger Institute, who originally wrote a book called Leadership and Self-Deception and followed it up with another book called The Anatomy of Peace. And we made a decision that a core part of what we wanted to teach is tied to the principles found in the Anatomy of Peace. Let me take just a minute and talk to you about what that means and why it's a part for us of the ASEA ethos. The fundamental principle in the Anatomy of Peace is that at any given moment, we have a heart either at war or a heart at peace towards others around us. And that heart at war or peace is a function of a choice point, a moment in time when we have actually decided to be responsive to the needs of others around us or to be resistant to that. If I'm responsive to the needs of someone around me, then my heart's at peace about them. If I'm resistant to their needs, then my heart's at war. Another way to think about this is when I see other people as objects, typically in that moment when I've resisted their need, their human needs that they're signaling they need help with, in that moment I'm resisting their humanity. I'm seeing them and treating them as an object. On the other side, when I see a person as a person, and I can sense their needs and what they need from me to be happy or to be helped, in that moment I'm being responsive and I'm seeing that person as a person. Now, how does this work? Well, we have this happen every day. Every one of us has opportunities to see people around us and sense and feel that they may need some help. Probably some of the more significant examples would be you're driving down the road and you see someone trying to fix their vehicle. Now, I'm not saying you have to stop for every person, but you do have to say to yourself, what would it feel like if I was that person and in need of some help? For me, this happens often in an airport where I might be rushing to get to a plane and trying to get through security, and there might be a mom in front of me with 3 little kids taking their time getting through. Well, I can choose to see that mother as a person, or I can choose to see her as an object. What is the self-dialogue? Well, I might say she could probably use some help with her bags while she gets the kids through security. I should offer to help. That would be a responsive sense or a feeling. But if I'd resist that urge or that impulse and say, she doesn't need my help, and she shouldn't be here on a Monday morning when everyone's trying to get to their business flights and get on the road, and who would bring 3 little kids on their own without someone to help anyway? Those are all classic resistant, justifying mindsets that are treating her like an object. What if I saw her as a person? What if I knew that she was going to a funeral for a family member and didn't have the help and she was taking the kids with her? Would my heart soften towards that person, seeing her that way? And if I did, wouldn't I feel more responsive and at peace about giving her a hand? See, the Anatomy of Peace teaches us that we live these moments all the time, all around us. We're constantly interfacing with other people, and as people, we know what it feels like to be people. As such, we know when someone's in need. We know when a mom taking kids through security at the airport needs a hand. Feeling that impulse makes us human, but responding to it makes us more effective and influential. In fact, the degree of influence we have on others has much more to do with the condition of our hearts towards them than to what we say or do. One of the core principles taught in this book is that people respond primarily to how we feel about them, not what we say or do. I think we've all walked out the door of our homes telling our spouse or other significant loved one, hey, I love you, but may not have meant it and felt it in our hearts. And what this book and philosophy pulls out is that how we see other people, whether as people themselves or objects, in fact determines the degree of influence we have. Now think about it. What if we could create a culture, an ethos, where the fundamental values we're teaching and promoting are to see other people as people? In an industry where by and large we're taught that they're numbers or they're objects. If you add all these little people to your system or to your business, you're going to make X in money. But what if we saw them as people? What if we treated them as people? Our whole approach to them would be very different. And from the very first bronze base camp all the way to today, we've taught this. Some of our senior executives here at the company have even been certified in being able to teach, coach, and train these principles. I highly encourage you to take some time and read The Anatomy of Peace as part of the ASEA ethos. The Anatomy of Peace teaches us to see and treat others as people, not as objects. And it suggests that your influence increases when you recognize and respond to the humanity of others. When you see others truly, you are true. It also teaches how to address conflict resolution. When a conflict arises, and it always does, ask yourself one simple question. How am I contributing to this problem? How am I part of the problem? Asking that question sincerely is an absolute invitation to the others with whom you have a conflict to do the same. And if two people are asking, how am I part of the problem? It will accelerate resolution and keep hearts at peace.